today's episode. We have a very exciting group of guests. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are Optimindx. We specialize in helping businesses in the health, wellness, and entrepreneur space streamline, automate, and scale their revenue using AI. So if you want to learn how to take your health and wellness business to the next level, make sure you stick around. And if you're interested for a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs.
So before we dive in, we want to shine a light on today's featured companies, TrueMedX and Neighborly Wellness. TrueMedX, founded by Cindy and Chip Paul, is dedicated to healing from the inside out. Their science-backed bioceuticals and natural solutions are designed to treat the root cause of health challenges, not just mask the symptoms. At Neighborly Wellness, Cindy and Chip have created a holistic clinic that offers bioresonance testing, thermal imaging, and red light therapy and food detox services, all designed to help clients uncover hidden health issues and restore balance. Through these powerful brands, they build an ecosystem that empowers people to take control of their health through education, advanced technologies, and nature-based solutions.
Welcome to Optimindx Podcast, where we sit down with entrepreneurs, innovators who are shaping the future of business, health, wellness, and technology. Optimindx shines a light on real insights, both the triumphs and the hurdles, highlighting what clients truly want rather than just what's trending. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Cindy and Chip Paul, the visionary husband and wife duo behind TrueMedX, Neighborly Wellness, and the popular Chip Talks podcast. Chip is a leading expert on the endocannabinoid system, known for his groundbreaking research and advocacy work, including his pivotal role in Oklahoma's SQ 788, which legalized medical cannabis. Cindy is a wellness educator and strategist passionate about nutrition, clean eating, and meal planning, helping people reclaim their health through food and education. Together, they are reshaping the wellness landscape with a unique blend of science, natural solutions, and cutting-edge technology. Cindy and Chip, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for having us.
So we'll start with some background and entrepreneurial journey for both of you guys. So Cindy and Chip, what inspired you to create TrueMedX and Neighborly Wellness? And obviously you guys can chime in both at the same time, however you guys want.
What we have really started as an idea. So it started as an idea of, God is a perfect engineer, if you will. If we understand our function well enough, we understand nature well enough, we should be able to heal really anything that's going on with us with nature outside of acute and traumatic care. So again, if I get shot, take me to the hospital. But, we started with that idea, and we started with the knowledge of the endocannabinoid system. And that led to some, let's say, innovations, some unique novel innovations that we had around ways to manipulate the endocannabinoid system with natural products. That led to a patent, and then that led to our TrueMedX brand. No one really understood what we were doing. And so Cindy really came up with the idea of doing a clinic. And Cindy, do you want to talk a little bit about the clinic and kind of how it helps translate what we're trying to do in science into actual real world helping people?
Yeah, but I want to take one quick step back to TrueMedX, because our why was really, we saw a problem, and the problem was pharmaceuticals. And so we saw that there were issues with dependency, opioid addiction, and things like that. And so our first products we developed were at pain and inflammation, because I was going through, I had an injury, a cervical fusion back in 2010, and then a second one in 2012. And I really didn't want to take pharmaceuticals or pain pills. And so I honestly went through my second surgery all natural, no pain pills, nothing. Chip was feeding me these herbs like licorice root and clove and turmeric. I was like, whoa, this is really helping. And so we were like, well, I bet this can help other people. And so him being a researcher, he dove a little bit deeper. And so people started coming to us for our natural products, which kind of segued into the clinic, because we're giving all this advice on how to take our products, but who needs it and when and why. And so we established the clinic for us to help research with the bioresonance into people's internal health, and then we would match them to the supplements that they needed. We didn't want anybody to take anything they didn't need.
Amazing. Okay. If I may, could you share what bioresonance is?
Yes, bioresonance is a very interesting technology. It uses frequency to measure energetically measure your body, and it gives back information. And Chip can speak to it a little bit more scientifically. Chip, I'll let you take that.
Yeah. So, and again, this is also going to be a little bit of an explanation of the endocannabinoid system because I can do both of these at the same time. If we're just a big collection of cells, right? God is a perfect engineer, if you will. So every cell that you make is perfect. I don't care how old you are, how diseased you are, how wonked out you are. If you have autism, it doesn't really matter. Every single cell that you make is perfect. So, but when you make that perfect cell, that cell will have a frequency. And the frequency of that cell is donated by how quick he's making ATP, which is his energy source. If you think about a heart cell, he'll have a frequency, and he'll want to join with other heart cells to build you a heart collective, right? And the way that he does that is he raises his hand. He actually expresses a CB1 neuroreceptor, which is an endocannabinoid thing. And he says, hey, I want to be a part of the collective. I want to join with other heart cells and build you a heart. And when he does that, again, that has its own frequency of a bunch of heart cells having their own little frequency and all joining together. So those frequencies can be measured, right? Those frequencies can be measured. And basically by those frequencies, you can determine dysregulation or regulation. Now, okay, all these guys are raising their hands saying, I want to participate. The Heart Collective also raises its hand and says, hey, I want to participate in the larger collective. I want to join with the blood system and the lungs and all that, be able to move oxygen about and feed cells and all this kind of stuff. Now, when you get infected or when you have certain environmental things happen, what happens? It's like basically what goes on inside of you is like this beautiful frequency symphony. And you have your hypothalamus, hippocampus through the endocannabinoid system conducting the symphony. When you have things like infection, it causes static. And at times, cells will feel so threatened, they'll unraise their hand. They'll say, I don't want to play in the collective anymore. It's too threatening out there. We don't want to do that anymore. And when that happens, those cells will move into default mode. They don't have any comms coming to tell them what to do anymore. So they're just going to do, well, I'm a fat cell. I'll just do what fat cells do. And fat cells will store fat and trend you toward type 2 diabetes. So anybody who has type 2 diabetes has fat cells that have checked out. Anybody who's obese has fat cells that have checked out. Guess what happens when you get them to check back in? All those things change and that disease state changes. So there you go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for that information, Chip.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. So a question for the both of you. Can you share how your personal health experience shaped the mission behind your business?
Yeah, I can actually take that one. So going back to when we decided to start the clinic, I was also experiencing a lot of digestive health issues and didn't really understand what was going on. And so the bioresonance, we tested it on myself. We learned how to use the technology by using it on myself and scanning Chip. And what we understood from that scan is that I had a lot of parasites and some harmful bacteria, a particular one called H. pylori. And H. pylori is very lethal. It can cause pancreatic cancer, stomach cancer, esophageal cancer, and it's a really bad bug, hard to kill. Pharma really is not able to do it very well. And so we uncovered what my issues were. And then from there, that's where TrueMedX stepped in. And so TrueMedX, we started designing things to go at parasites, at bacteria, that sort of thing. And so all of our gut health products really were developed from this experience and understanding of what we can find with this machine, although it does not diagnose, treat, or cure anything. But it's a really good research tool in helping us understand what somebody might be dealing with internally. And so that helped us kind of launch our whole gut health line of products and our deeper understanding of what chronic disease and a lot of issues we see throughout America and the world. There's a lot of obesity, there's a lot of inflammatory diseases. And so we need to uncover the root cause rather than just symptom management. And that's kind of how that all got going.
Every single, and we've got some pretty cool, pretty serious innovations that, eventually, let's say, people will appreciate and realize. It's a little early yet for some of the stuff that we're doing, but some people get it. But every one of those has come from some personal experience, some health challenge that either Cindy and I have had or somebody very close to us has had. And that's my inspiration. So if you come in and you have pancreatic cancer and you're going to die, and that's very inspirational to me. I want to get to the bottom of that. I want to help you. I want to keep you from dying. I want to do everything that I can to help you. So most of our stuff has come from that type of inspiration, and in fact, it's still that way, certainly. So as we add a product, it's usually something that we built to solve a problem for somebody that's come into the clinic or somebody close to us, or Cindy or I. So it's all of our stuff is inspired by our own, journey.
That's lovely to hear. And it resonates and demonstrates that you continue to rise to the challenge, continue to modify, and are malleable to constantly unravel these business and foundation that you guys have established. So that's really beautiful here. I love that. And on another question, kind of moving into Chip, you spent years researching the endocannabinoid system.
Yep.
What fascinates you the most about the role in human health?
Well, that's a salty, weighty question. The thing that I would say fascinates me most about the endocannabinoid system is the fact that it's so occulted. Okay. So it is verboten to teach it in medical school. It is verboten, meaning forbidden. Verboten means forbidden in German, if you didn't know. But it is forbidden to teach it at a PhD level. There's no university anywhere in the world that teaches the endocannabinoid system at a PhD level. Now, why is that? Well, as soon as I teach it to you at a PhD level, it breaks all of the medical and pharmaceutical paradigms, all of them. So there's an underlying truth in pharma and medicine and the institution, let's say, and that institution is very good at serving itself. So if you begin to throw in truths that are above its institutional truth, it doesn't like that very much. All right. But the institutional truth really in medicine and pharma is you're flawed. You're broken. You're going to break. You're going to die. You're going to mess up. Organs are going to fail. You are so far from a perfectly constructed machine, and that we, in a godlike fashion, will come in and fix you and help you and all that if you rely and depend on us, right? So that's kind of professional medical. Our holistic is all kind of the same. It's like God is a perfect engineer. He built you perfect. If we just get out of the way and understand what you need, you'll heal yourself. And so, that's two completely different philosophies that drive, but that's what drives us. And so we're always looking for that perfect form and perfect function, and what we're doing to keep ourselves from that perfect form and function, because it's always self-inflicted, always, which is really interesting.
So on that note, moving into building the ecosystem, how do TrueMedX products and Neighborly Wellness services complement each other to provide a full circle approach to health? So that's for both of you.
So we really use Neighborly Wellness to uncover hidden threats that are holding people back from quality of life and true health. And so once we understand what that hidden threat is, we use TrueMedX to support that healing journey. And so it's a full circle. We can always scan somebody, do the research, find out what is troubling them, and then design that natural product to support that healing. And so that's really how they work hand in hand. It's been a good process.
Okay. And a follow-up question for you, Cindy. You focus heavily on nutrition and on meal planning. What do you believe food is the foundation of healing?
Socrates said it best, let food be thy medicine. And so that's what we have forgotten generation over generation, is that food is our medicine. Instead, after the 50s, we got really complicated in our food preparation. We got a lot of processed food started to come into our stores, our homes. And so that's the point where digestive health just went right into the toilet. And so just helping people get back to eating like our ancestors used to, what grows around us, what's in season, what are we feeding our animals that we are eating. So, it goes back to ethical ranching and farming too, and soil remediation. There's so much. It's a very deep conversation to have around nutrition, because honestly, that apple we used to eat 100 years ago does not have the same nutrition today that it did then. And so that's a hard hurdle for people to understand. They think if they eat vegetables, they're doing it right. But that's, sometimes vegetables are causing harm because it's very carbohydrate. They convert to sugar. And so helping people understand what serves their body best is another thing that we are able to do through Neighborly Wellness. So it starts at Neighborly, and it can lead to diet, or it can lead to TrueMedX, or it can lead straight to your doctor. So we've got a lot of arms, but first we need to get that baseline at Neighborly.
Cindy said that very well, but the way that I would say it is that you literally program yourself through diet, and there's essential things that we need, and most of us are deficient in those essential things. So there's 2 essential fats, there's 9 essential amino acids, and then there's essential vitamins, trace minerals, and metals. And most of us are deficient in some of those. And again, if we're infected, if you're deficient, you're going to get infected. If you're infected, you're going to become more deficient. And that's exactly the loop that most of us are in now. So our ultimate goal, let's say, is really to teach you how to eat, teach you how to nutrient yourself, and teach you how to protect yourself. And that really is on you more than us. We'll always have a supplement, to help you. But our ultimate goal is really to empower you, to have you take your own health back into your own hands and not rely on anybody. We'll kind of make it easy for you, but we want to empower you.
Right. And so for those new to holistic health, how do you guys guide someone who feels overwhelmed or skeptical?
Yes. And I would say education, and one of the things that's really, there's so much crap, let's say, on the internet. So you can find thousands of people like Cindy and I. So what makes us different and better? Well, if you have Chat GPT or any AI tool, just start validating what I'm telling you or Cindy's telling you. Start asking it about the information that we're giving out. Start using it to establish, let's say, our authority, because we have great authority in this space. And as you begin to realize that, you're not going to listen to Dr. Joe anymore, PhD Bill, you're going to come listen to us. But that's a process. And I've got to kind of get you there with education, and I've got to get you there with some things like I just said, and I'm happy to have you run anything that we do through an AI tool, because I know we're on higher truth and highest truth. So
yeah, and then we took it a step further, and I'm just going to do a quick little book plug. So we wrote a book. It keeps blurring.
Oh, Cindy, I think because you have the blur, it's really hard to.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
Now it's good. Yeah.
Okay, and it's available on Kindle, Amazon. There's a paperback version. It's called Perfect by Design, Reclaiming Health. And this really helps people understand how the endocannabinoid system helps to reveal what we're missing in modern health and why we are all so undernourished and where that started. And so some people like to learn from books. Some people like to learn by coming here to the clinic, or some people prefer to watch our little short videos on social media. So we are flooding the airways with information. We're putting out the books, does free consults. So if somebody has a question about what they're going through, they have a lot of different ways to reach us for those answers.
Amazing. Okay. And now, Chip, when you were a key figure in the Oklahoma's SQ788 campaign for medical cannabis. How did that experience shape your approach to education and advocacy and wellness?
Oh, gosh.
You get the hard ones.
Yeah. Well, I was pretty Pollyanna-ish, let's say, about how the political process works and how easy or hard it is to get something accomplished. And so I got sense beat into me of how difficult that is. And, again, that it's not if you tilt at windmills and I tilt at windmills, meaning, Don Quixote, went off and tried to, solve every problem. So I will get passionate about a problem and go try to solve it. But cannabis is really an interesting, issue. It is well supported, which is nice, but the people who are against it are extremely passionate against it. It's just been an interesting experience for Cindy and I would say it's definitely hurt our business. So our activism and what we've been able to do for people of Oklahoma and people nationally, for access to cannabis has hurt us. But at the same time, it's been the right thing to do. And it's been, what I feel like God's wanted me to do. And I'm sure Cindy would kind of say the same thing. We are still involved, and we're certainly somewhat involved, let's say, in what should happen this week or next, which is Trump announcing rescheduling of marijuana with the, under the basically Controlled Substances Act, which will be a good thing for research and things like that.
Oh, exciting.
It's, again, with anything, and guess what? The cannabis community is all pissed off going far enough into complete legalization. Yeah. So it's, you just almost can't win with the cannabis. So I want to say woohoo because we're making progress, but at the same time, there's just people who will, not view that as progress, which is sad. So, yeah.
Depends what side of the river you're on.
So, Chip, to talk about your podcast, so the Chip Talk podcast has become a platform for science-backed health education. What are some of your favorite topics or conversations you've had in the show or a guest, if you want to share?
Yeah, so just human function. So I'm super interested in how you work, how nature works. I really believe that we're, perfect by design. That's what we called our book. And that nature is perfect by design. And as we understand our functionality and as we understand how nature works, we should be able to greatly improve our function, our longevity, our whole quality of life. And so, that's what we're about. And that's what we try to really at the highest level communicate on the podcast. So we might be drilling that into pain relief or autism or different specifics, but at the core, we're looking at God as a perfect engineer. How do you heal yourself? How do I empower you to take back control of your health and take back your health sovereignty? Because we've all kind of given it away to the medical system and we need to take it back. Right. So that's what we're trying to do on the podcast. And we'll have guests on that will complement those ideas. And sometimes we kind of have fun guests on. Like we had an erectile dysfunction guy on. He was kind of fun to talk to, but we have fun stuff on sometimes. So we use it to educate. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. We don't have a subscription associated with it. So we really just want to teach you what we're learning and what we know about human function.
Amazing. That sounds really, really cool. So for everybody listening, definitely check out. It's called, so I don't get it wrong, the Chip Talk podcast. So definitely check that out for amazing conversations. So moving towards the growth and recognitions of both you, Cindy, and Chip's business, what are some key milestones where you realize your business were making a meaningful impact?
Well,
I would.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Cindy.
go ahead.
No, you
Okay.
go first.
We started everything in the Tulsa area. And we left the Tulsa area and moved to Oklahoma City. And we left Tulsa because, medical marijuana put that scarlet letter on our back a little bit. And we were trying to build a business. We're not just trying to be known as the marijuana people. And so we actually relocated to Oklahoma City. And we established relationships with a lot of the networking around town, and just the amount of interest we got from people we started sharing our knowledge with is just beautiful, because we thought, we're going to a town where nobody really knows who we are. We're having to restart everything. And so just by getting into some of the networking around Oklahoma City, the people here resonate so much with natural health and learning about their master regulatory system. And so that's been very fruitful for us here in Oklahoma City, is getting that word of mouth. That was very hard to do in Tulsa, but now it's establishing very well here, and we've got some good partnerships around it.
I used to be a corporate guy, and Cindy used to be a corporate girl. We made really good money in our jobs, and we decided to quit those jobs to do what we're doing now. It's not easy. We're at the tip of the spear in what we do. We always benefit from help, let's say, and are always looking, let's say, from people who will help us develop these ideas and further these ideas. But, where we're taking everything, I would say, is we're looking to expand our clinic idea. And it is good enough now to expand. So we could facilitate someone opening a clinic like this in other, major cities. We're also looking to team with direct primary care providers. We feel like that is, professional medical is kind of moving our way, but that direct primary care is how that's happening. And then we're always looking for, it's really hard when you produce a supplement, a natural product supplement, because you get lost in the soup of everyone that's doing things wrong, people that don't have any science behind what they're doing, people that don't have patents behind what they're doing. And until we move our stuff into drugs, which we are moving, some of our things, they're working well enough to be drugs and we're moving them toward drugs. But until they become drugs, I can't make claims about them. I can't say, well, our anti-inflammatory really helps with inflammation. I can't say those words, right? So I can say reported to and a bunch of other crap stuff, but it's really hard for us to stand out as a supplement company, even though we stand out. So that's always a challenge for us in business, but we always need help. We need people talking about us. We need people furthering the message. We need help expanding our business. And so it's when you're out at the tip of the spear, it isn't easy. And Cindy and I have both, we feel like it's something God wants us to do, but we've both made the decision to sacrifice and suffer in order to get these businesses started, even though we could go back and make a whole bunch of money in the private sector. And so that's been extraordinarily difficult personally for both of us, I would say. Yeah.
An absolute larger mission entails.
Yes.
Now, bottlenecks then versus now. I integrate these questions together. So in the earliest stages of TrueMedX, and you both have touched a little bit on the details, but in the early stages for TrueMedX and Neighborly Wellness, what were the biggest bottlenecks you faced? And then today, are those bottlenecks the same? Have they changed?
Well, I would say as a researcher, and this is a little bit out, this is what I do. This isn't necessarily our business, but my research feeds our business. And then I research potentially you, if you're a client who's come in and got something interesting going on, or, something unique and something that we haven't seen before. So we get a lot of data points in our business, which is really cool. So if I put you on the bioresonance or I do a thermal imaging on you, I get a lot of data points. And I used to have to basically manually research. So let's say if you had some weird disease, I was going into NIH, PubMed, all those type resources, looking for papers, looking for journal articles, and then reading those and then making assessments based on all that. I can do all that now in about 2 minutes with a tool like Chat or any AI tool. So I can go and find my research. That research will directly apply to what I'm looking for. If I think that the AI has gone wonky, I can ask it to cite and I can actually go in and read my research. So it has just speeded up what I do. Advent of artificial intelligence has speeded up what I do by just leagues and bounds. The other thing that we're doing now is I used to, again, evaluate all those thousands of data points that come off our bioresonance. I've now built a tool where I can build a profile on you. I don't give it your name, but I can build a profile on somebody I just scanned, and then I can ask that profile questions. So I can say, hey, here's this person's medication list. Based on what we just scanned, are those medications hurting or helping this person? Are they contraindicating? And again, I can just give that informationally. I'm not a doctor, so I can't give medical advice, but I can present all that information to you and let you make your own decisions. So just AI has helped our business just unbelievably and accelerated my ability to move faster, just, 10, 20, 30x.
I would agree with that. And from my standpoint, because I use AI on the marketing side, and so I have to take Chip's really complicated information and I have to dumb it down, for social media or blogs and things like that. So it's really hard to take very highly scientific information and write it at a third grade level without the use of AI. And so AI has really helped me do that, take complicated words and dumb it down so everybody can understand it. And so
Absolutely.
that's what I really like about it.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, you guys touched up in our question for AI, so should jump right in it. So you basically answered what we were gonna ask you in terms of the AI world. So we want to more move into vision and future goals for your business. So Cindy and Chip, what's the main goal you'd like to achieve with your business in the next 1 to 2 years?
So there's obviously, business development and financial goals that we want to meet. We have some investors, and so we want to, make them happy and affirm the faith that they had in us with, benefits and financial benefits and all that. But as far as vision, and this is, it's more important to me, let's say, to build this system than it is to make a bunch of money, although everybody's got to eat and, we got to keep our investors happy and all this. But where we're going is, if you think about what you want as a patient, as a customer, as a consumer, let's say, of medical systems and stuff about your own health and how you get better. Well, I want a situation that has all my data, and that data may be, very diagnostic blood test data. It may be kind of interesting alternative data like the bioresonance data or thermal imaging data, but I kind of want all my data in one place. And then I want to be able to go in with a AI tool or a chat bot or whatever and ask questions about my own profile. Gee, I'm going to eat some bacon this morning. Is that going to hurt me or help me? Right? It's going to go, no, Chip, don't eat that bacon. Or, I'm looking at a supplement, or I'm getting ready to go on vacation. Do I need to change my routine any? Should I change supplements? I'm taking this supplement. Is that good for me or bad for me? I want to be able to ask basically those questions and get answers that are personalized to me. And then I don't have to worry about any medical system bias or weird alternative, practitioner crap or any of that kind of stuff. I just want straight answers. So I think that's where we're all headed. Direct primary care is a move that way. What we're doing definitely is a move that way. And that's what we kind of want to provide on our website. But what does that entail? So in order to build that, well, I have to have a situation where I test you and I have to get some data from you testing wise. I have to have a situation where I'm evaluating that. I have to have a set of, let's say, effectors that I'm using to help you. And then I have to have a reevaluation. And that's what we're building in our clinic. It's basically, we've got patents around a lot of what we're doing, but that's the machine that we're building because that's the machine that we think you want. So hopefully we're hitting the mark, but we'll see.
Awesome.
I'm definitely in it. I look forward to seeing this unravel. It's just personally, I see it as a complete restructure on the entire medical realm and industry. And
Right.
it is the time. So I love hearing that. All right. For our last question before rapid fire, if you both had a magic wand to fix one reoccurring challenge in the wellness industry, what would it be?
Oh my goodness.
Boy, I would say, again, it's a lack of truthful information. I would say that is the absolute biggest problem. Professional medical, again, assumes that you're broken, you're messed up, you're all those things. That's not true.
Yeah.
Every cell you make is perfect. Every single cell. That is true. So we have to start with truth, right? We have to start with truth. But how do you know who's telling the truth? And this is where I think AI is just so awesome because it sets an authority and it's going to tell you who's telling the truth. Because it's the ultimate authority. It's got all the data, all the facts, again, and it's got to be ethical, moral AI. But again, it's going to be the ultimate authority. So a doctor is not going to be the authority anymore. AI is, which is kind of nice. And that's going to break that paradigm.
Yeah, and I'll kind of expand on that a little bit. There's a lot of people providing the same modalities of care throughout the wellness industry, and some know what they're doing better than others. And so having more education around some of these modalities of treatments, I think is very warranted. You have a lot of people who work from home that are offering holistic treatments and different modalities of care. And so they were never formally trained. And so there's some people who know what they're doing better than others. And so knowing who to go to is critical. And that's hard to know because there's no directory. And so Chip and I started something called the Wellness Alliance here in Oklahoma. And we're trying to bring together all of the wellness providers and help people find them, find the people that can help you feel better.
Right. That's amazing. Thank you so much both for giving us your magic wand solution. That's great. So now for a rapid fire wrap up, if you can give us in one word or one sentence, so it's super quick answers in terms of like what we're going to ask you. So one lesson you teach your younger self.
Humble.
Knowledge.
One breakthrough tool, strategy, or partnership that accelerated your growth.
Knowledge.
AI. Yeah.
And then one current trend in wellness or holistic health you're most excited about.
Frequency.
It definitely a move our way. Everything is moving holistic, natural, back to kind of what we got away from, and that's just natural processes and natural health. So I'm super encouraged that, again, everything's moving our way, which is kind of nice. And how often in business does that ever happen? It's pretty
Right, exactly. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you guys for those quick, insightful answers. So for our last question in the podcast, team and leadership question. So as leaders in mission-driven businesses, what qualities do you look for when building your team or collaborating with your partners? And then the second part of the question is that grit has been a recurring theme across our interviews. And how does grit play into your work as entrepreneurs and advocates?
Yeah, I think the like-mindedness is number one. If you guys can't see eye to eye on, modalities of care or what we're trying to collectively do, then there's probably no business there. So I think, having the same mindset is critical in our collaborations, but also when we make hires, if they don't understand kind of this new philosophy of health, then they're probably not a good fit.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would agree with Cindy exactly on that. You just have to be like-minded to work in this space. And if you're not like-minded, you're not going to be very happy in this space. And that's going to translate into poor, work performance and all that. On grit, though, it's in order to do, if you're in a tip of the spear business, that's kind of what I call us, and that you could be in banking or you could be in a bunch of different industries. But if you're in a tip of the spear business, you have to have grit because what's fueling you is your passion and grit. And there's so many obstacles. If you're tip of this, I can't tell you how many times we've almost been bankrupt. We've almost been shut down for stupid reasons, where we've gotten licenses pulled, credit card processing pulled, our website shut down, just on and on and on. And you have to have grit in order to overcome those and say, no, I'm not going to go back and make a whole bunch of money in the private sector. Right. I'm going to keep doing this so you've got to have that grit. That's the only thing that really gets you through the tough times.
Yeah, because what we do does not come without personal risk. And so You have to know what you're getting into.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And on that note, Cindy and Chip, thank you so much for sharing your story and insights with us today. It's inspiring to see how you build a holistic wellness ecosystem that combines natural solution, advanced technologies, and deep education for people and to help people truly heal. And to all our OptiMindX listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and keep the conversation going with us on our platforms. Till next time, OptiMindX listeners and Cindy, as well as Chip, thank you again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you guys.
So much, Melanie and George.
Pleasure. Yeah.
It was an absolute pleasure.